All right, welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive into the FrandsenFiles Compendium.
Yes! Back for more.
This is our sixth one. We are getting deep.
We are getting deep into this, that's for sure.
And it just seems like every time we do one of these, it's like we're peeling back another layer of this onion, and it's just more and more complex.
Well, it's a living document, right? I mean, that's what makes it so different and so compelling in a way than just like a collection of stories.
Right.
It is actually, as Frandsen is understanding more, he is going back and rewriting parts of it and adding to it. And I mean, he himself has said that the compendium is still a work in progress. He's still working on it, still trying to sort of make sense of his own experiences. So we are along for the ride, really.
Yeah, and we are looking at today entries 51 through 60. And I have to say, in this batch of entries, things take a bit of a darker turn.
Things are getting dark.
Yeah. We're seeing attacks on Frandsen, both from other humans aiding the supernatural. We're seeing the implosion of his attempt to really professionalize paranormal research.
I find that fascinating, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Because it does seem like the stakes are getting higher the more he uncovers. It's
Yeah.
almost as if like the more he finds out, the more dangerous it becomes.
Right.
It's like he is uncovering some truth that, you know, people or forces don't want him to uncover.
Well, and he even addresses that a little bit, that there are forces that, don't want this information out there.
Yeah.
So let's jump right in with entry 51. This is where Frandsen really details these attacks that he's facing. And it's not ghosts, it's not demons.
Right.
It's other people.
That's our humans.
Yeah. I mean, it's people online accusing him of all sorts of crazy things.
Well, think about it, though. That is an interesting thing in and of itself, right?
Yeah.
If you are someone who is putting out information that is challenging to the status quo,
Right.
that is really upsetting people's apple carts,
Yeah.
then people are going to attack you.
Right.
I mean, it's almost a validation in a way.
Right.
That he is onto something that is threatening enough for people to go after him. I mean, that is scary to think about. I mean, we often think of the paranormal as this like fun and,
Yeah, ghosts and goblins.
But the reality is, if it is real and it is something that is impinging on our world,
Right.
then yeah, there are going to be people who are going to be very upset about someone like Frandsen coming in and exposing it.
Yeah, and he talks about a range of attacks, from a childhood stabbing by his stepmother,
Wow.
all the way to, like I said, these smear campaigns online, and even a car accident that involved members of his family that he suspects may not have been an accident.
It makes you wonder how much this constant like feeling of being watched or being attacked has shaped his worldview.
Right. I mean, how can you not be paranoid at a certain point?
Exactly. It's like if you are constantly looking over your shoulder, how does that affect your ability to perceive the world around you?
Right.
It's almost like a feedback loop where the more you attack, the more paranoid you become, the more likely you are to see threats everywhere.
Right. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah. And it makes you wonder how much of that paranoia is feeding into his experiences and how much of his experiences are actually real threats.
Right. Well, there's a particular detail in the stabbing incident that I found particularly chilling. So this is when he's a kid, his stepmother stabs him, and he talks about having a vision of a dragon man during the attack.
The Dragon Man.
A dragon man, yeah.
Yeah.
And this figure has apparently appeared at other pivotal moments throughout Frandsen's life.
That's fascinating.
I know. It makes you wonder, what is this dragon man? Is it a manifestation of trauma? Is it a real supernatural entity?
Or is it both?
Yeah.
I mean, could it be that, when we are under extreme stress or trauma,
Right.
that our minds create these figures, these archetypes,
Right.
to help us process what's going on?
Yeah, like a coping mechanism.
Yeah. But then what if those figures actually take on a life of their own?
Right. Right.
It's kind of a chicken or the egg situation.
It is, yeah. And it makes you think about how our own experiences, especially those early childhood traumas, shape our perceptions of reality.
Right.
So it makes you wonder how much of Frandsen's reality is shaped by that early trauma.
That's a good question.
Yeah. And it leads us nicely into entry 52, which focuses on Frandsen's attempt to sort of move paranormal research from this personal hobby into a real career.
Right. Trying to legitimize it.
Yeah, and he does this through the formation of the company, which is essentially this professional paranormal research team.
This is where things get really interesting, I think, from a sociological perspective.
Oh, yeah.
Because, when you think about it, how does a field like paranormal research gain legitimacy?
Right.
It's inherently subjective. It's often dismissed by mainstream science. So how do you create structures and methods and a framework that allows it to be taken seriously?
Yeah, it's like trying to take something that's completely intangible and put it in a box.
Exactly.
Right.
It's like, how do you measure a ghost?
Right.
How do you quantify a psychic experience?
Right.
It's really challenging.
Yeah. And it reminds me of, the early days of anthropology or psychology,
Exactly.
right, where these fields were seen as kind of like fringe.
Yeah, like soft sciences.
Right. And it took a lot of work and rigorous research.
Right, building a methodology.
Yeah, to really gain that mainstream acceptance.
Yeah.
And it seems like Frandsen is trying to do the same thing with the company, but he runs into some major roadblocks.
Yeah, what happened with that? I mean, it didn't last very long, did it?
No.
Huh.
He talks about its downfall in this entry, and he blames it on a combination of things. He talks about internal conflicts, ego clashes, people wanting to be the star.
Right, the big name in the field.
Right. And then there were even some criminal accusations leveled against some of the members.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's pretty messy.
It sounds like it. So it kind of imploded.
Yeah, it really did.
So what happened after that?
Well, I mean, he learned a lot.
I bet.
He really did. He talks about, the need to really vet the people you're working with.
Right, due diligence.
Yeah, pay attention to personalities, potential for conflict.
That's important in any field.
Yeah, but especially when you're dealing with something as volatile and subjective as the paranormal.
Yeah, where emotions are running high and you are dealing with things that are, by their very nature, difficult to prove.
Right.
So, yeah, it's got to be a minefield.
It is, yeah. But he seems to have really taken those lessons to heart, though.
So he didn't give up completely.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
I mean, look at what he's doing now with the Bald and Bonkers network.
That's true. It's like he learned from that experience.
He did.
He's applying those lessons.
Yeah, he's more cautious, I think, and he's definitely more aware of the potential pitfalls.
So he's like a wiser, more experienced paranormal researcher now?
I would say so, yeah.
It's like watching someone, level up in a video game,
Right, they gain experience points.
They get stronger, they learn from their mistakes.
Yeah, and they get better equipment.
Exactly.
So let's move on to entry 53. This one's a doozy. It involves the abduction of a man named BT.
An abduction. Okay, this is where we're getting into the really weird stuff.
Yeah, and it's also our introduction to the Galactic Federation of Worlds.
The what?
The Galactic Federation of Worlds, or GFW, which, as Frandsen describes it, is essentially this group of extraterrestrials who are kind of like, I guess, monitoring Earth.
So like space cops?
Kind of.
Yeah.
But not in a authoritarian way.
Okay, so more like space, what's the word? Like space,
Guardians.
guardians, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Okay, so Frandsen gets pulled into this situation during a live stream.
A live stream.
Yeah, with this group of self-proclaimed witches.
Okay.
And one of them, this guy, BT, he starts acting really strange, like almost possessed.
Like demonically possessed.
It seemed like it, yeah.
Oh, wow. So it's like we're going from human attackers to demonic possession.
Yeah, Frandsen is having a rough time.
No kidding.
And recognizing the potential danger, he steps in and uses his own methods. He doesn't go into great detail, but he mentions using a sonified version of a protective sigil he'd created.
Sonified sigil, what is that?
Basically, he turned a magical symbol into sound.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Anyway, he uses this to pull BT out of the trance.
Okay, so he saves the day.
Well, sort of.
Yeah.
But that's when things get really strange.
I have a feeling it's about to get a lot weirder.
You are not wrong.
Yeah.
So that night, Frandsen is abducted.
Abducted by who?
By the GFW.
The Space Guardians.
The Space Guardians.
Mm.
They take him up to their ship, and it turns out BT is there too.
Okay, what's going on?
They're performing a medical procedure on him.
A medical procedure? Like alien surgery?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And they find this black mass inside BT.
A black mass? What is that?
They don't really explain, but they say it's of extraterrestrial origin.
So BT was like infected with something alien.
It seems that way, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, they extract the black mass, and they send Frandsen back home.
Okay, so wait, what happened to BT?
Well, he wakes up the next day with no memory of the abduction,
Really?
but he does have a hernia.
A hernia.
Yeah. Apparently, the GFW could only heal the alien affliction.
What?
Yeah, they couldn't fix their hernia.
So they're like space doctors, but they're not very good at fixing hernias.
It's weird, right?
It's super weird.
I know. But the thing is, Frandsen later describes very specific physical details about BT that he couldn't have known otherwise.
Like what?
Like a scar on his back.
Yeah.
And BT confirms it.
Really?
Yeah. So Frandsen is like, see? I was there. I saw it.
So BT is like walking around with this hernia, and he has no idea why.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's wild.
It is. It really is.
It makes you wonder, what are the limits of their intervention? Like, why heal the alien thing, but not the hernia? What are the rules here?
Yeah. Who makes those decisions?
It's like a cosmic game of telephone, you know?
Right.
Where, like, BT gets this fragmented experience. He doesn't even know what happened to him.
Right.
And Frandsen is left with this incredible knowledge.
But he can't really share.
Yeah. Like, who's going to believe him?
Right.
It just sounds too crazy.
It does. But at the same time, there's this detail about the hernia that lends it a certain amount of credibility.
I mean, it's those little details that make it so compelling.
Yeah. It's those little details that make you think, okay, maybe there's something to this.
Yeah. Maybe there is.
So we've got human attackers, demonic possession, alien abduction.
All in a day's work for Dakota Frandsen.
What could possibly be next?
I don't know, but I have a feeling it's going to be good.
I think you're right.
I mean, it does seem like, as we go through these entries, his role is more than just a passive observer, isn't it? He's being actively pulled into these situations,
He is.
intervening.
Yeah, for better or for worse.
And, it raises the question of why.
Why him?
Why him? Why is he so special? What is it about him that makes him this focal point for all this weirdness?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know if we have the answer to that.
I don't know either, but it is a question that I think we need to keep in mind as we go through these entries.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's move on to entry 54. This one is titled, A Favor for the Devil.
Okay, now we're talking.
Yeah, I know.
This sounds juicy.
This one's a wild one. And I have to say, I was not quite prepared for this when I first read it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So Frandsen is approached by a being claiming to be Lucifer.
Lucifer, like the devil.
The devil.
Yeah.
And this being is seeking Frandsen's help in locating Lilith.
Lilith. Okay, we're going full biblical here.
We are.
So wait, hold on. The devil needs help.
Apparently.
And he's asking Dakota Frandsen for this help.
That is what the entry says, yes.
I mean, how do we even wrap our heads around that?
Right. I mean, is this Lucifer as we understand him? The evil incarnate.
Fallen angel?
A fallen angel.
Yeah.
And why is he coming to Frandsen for help?
It doesn't really fit the narrative, does it?
It really doesn't.
Yeah.
I mean, according to this entry, Lucifer is actually quite concerned about Lilith's well-being.
So he's not, like, gleefully evil.
No, not at all.
He's actually, like, showing compassion.
Yeah.
And concern.
Yes.
That's interesting.
It's really strange, right? I mean, to think of Lucifer as a being capable of compassion.
Yeah. It kind of humanizes him, doesn't it?
It does.
Which is a weird thing to say about the devil.
It is.
But I think that's what Frandsen is doing here.
Yeah.
He's challenging our preconceived notions.
Right.
About good and evil.
Right.
About the nature of these beings.
Right.
It's not so black and white.
It's not. There's nuance.
There's nuance. There's complexity.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes the compendium so fascinating.
It is.
It's that it's forcing us to confront the limitations of our own understanding.
Right. Okay, so back to the story. Frandsen does end up helping Lucifer.
He does?
He does. Through a series of astral projections.
Astral projections. Okay.
Frandsen is guided to Lilith's location, and she's recovering from her injuries.
So she was injured.
Yeah. Attacked by an entity that Frandsen refers to as the Lord of Shadows.
The Lord of Shadows.
Yeah. And he believes this entity may be
Cain.
Cain, like the first murderer.
Yeah.
Okay, this is getting really interesting.
I know, right?
So Frandsen helps Lilith, who's been attacked by Cain, and Lucifer is grateful.
That's the gist of it. Yeah.
Okay. And how does he actually help her? I mean, she's injured.
He doesn't go into great detail about that.
Oh, okay.
But it seems to be more of a kind of a supportive presence.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. But here's where it gets even weirder.
Okay, I'm ready.
Frandsen's friend Ash, who we've talked about before.
Yeah, the one who has connections to both Lucifer and Lilith. Right. So Ash has a shared dream with Frandsen.
A shared dream.
Yeah. And in this dream, they both see Frandsen defending Lilith from the Lord of Shadows.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
So it's like some kind of psychic link between them.
It seems like it.
That's pretty wild.
It is. And it's not just the dream. They actually do some experiments with EVP.
EVP, electronic voice phenomena.
Yeah. And they're recording each other's voices through an app that doesn't have voice messaging capability.
That's impossible.
I know, right?
How is that even possible?
I know.
I mean, are they literally hearing each other's voices across thousands of miles through a Spirit Box app?
That's what they're saying?
That's incredible.
It is.
It's like they're tapping into some kind of shared consciousness.
Yeah.
It's blurring the lines between individual minds. It's
Right.
like, are we all connected in ways that we don't even understand?
Yeah. I mean, it really makes you think, doesn't it?
It does.
About the nature of reality, about the nature of consciousness.
About what's possible.
Ex-
It's like, if we can connect with each other in this way,
Right, yeah.
what else is possible?
Yeah, what else are we capable of?
It's really exciting, but also kind of scary, right?
It is a little bit of both, yeah.
It's like opening up a door to a whole new world.
Right, but you don't know what's on the other side.
Exactly. And that's, I think, what Frandsen is trying to do with the compendium. He's opening up that door.
He is.
He's inviting us to step through,
And explore.
explore.
Yeah.
Okay.
So after that wild ride, we need to kind of come back down to earth a little bit.
Back to reality.
Back to reality, yeah.
Okay.
With entry 55.
What's this one about?
This one's a little bit more personal,
Yeah.
a little bit more heartwarming.
Oh, good. I need a break from the devil and the Lord of Shadows.
I think we all do.
Yeah.
So this is a Valentine's Day reunion.
Oh, nice. A little romance.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's Valentine's Day, and Frandsen's extraterrestrial son,
Michael.
right, shows up at his door.
Wow.
Yeah.
Surprise visit.
Yeah. And he takes Frandsen up to a mothership that's orbiting Earth.
Okay.
And Frandsen is reunited with his star wife, Ivina.
Ivina. So
Yeah.
it's like a cosmic date night.
It is.
Okay, I'm liking this one already.
Yeah. It's very sweet. They dance. There's romance.
Mm.
And let's just say that their reunion leads to the conception of their third child, Irina,
Oh, wow. Okay, so a Valentine's Day baby.
a Valentine's Day space baby.
A space baby.
Yeah. And Irina actually plays a pretty significant role in later entries.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, she becomes kind of like a bridge between Frandsen's past and present,
Hmm.
and she actually validates Frandsen's current partner
As what?
as a potential envoy incarnation of Ivina.
Okay, now we're getting into some really complicated stuff.
I know.
So it's like this cosmic love triangle
It is.
with interdimensional implications.
Yeah, man.
I mean, the fact that Irina, who's, technically Frandsen's daughter from another dimension,
Right.
comes to visit Elle in the physical world. That's pretty wild.
It is.
Mhm.
And it's like these two realities, Frandsen's earthly life and his extraterrestrial life,
Right.
were starting to merge.
Yeah, it's like the veil is thinning.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder, are these realms actually separate?
Right.
Or is it all just part of one big interconnected reality?
Yeah. Are we just looking at it through a very limited lens?
I think that's a good way to put it.
Okay, so let's move on to entry 56. This one brings us back down to Earth again, but in a different way.
Okay. In what way?
This one's about an experiment that Frandsen is planning.
An experiment.
Yeah, and this experiment kind of intersects with some very real concerns that we're facing here on Earth,
Like what?
like declining birth rates
Oh, wow. Oh.
and the power of music.
This sounds really interesting.
It is. So Frandsen, being a musician,
Right.
is proposing to use his music,
Okay.
enhanced with AI technology,
Okay.
to stimulate romantic connections
Wow. Okay.
and potentially boost birth rates.
So he's trying to make baby-making music.
Pretty much.
That's a bold idea.
It is.
I mean, is he talking about subliminal messaging?
He doesn't really go into specifics,
Okay.
but he emphasizes that the experiment will be conducted ethically.
Ethically. Okay.
Yeah, so participants will be fully informed
Okay.
after an initial observation period.
Interesting.
But he seems to be suggesting that music can tap into something primal within us,
Right.
something that transcends language and
Right.
conscious thought.
So, like, music can bypass our conscious minds
Right.
and go straight to our lizard brains
I guess you could say that, yeah.
and make us want to,
Make babies.
yeah. Okay. I mean, it's a provocative idea.
It is.
I'm curious to see how it plays out.
Yeah, me too. The album is actually set to drop on Valentine's Day 2025.
Oh, wow. So just a few weeks from now.
Yeah. So, listeners, if you're suddenly feeling extra romantic after February 14th,
You might have Dakota Frandsen to thank.
or blame, depending how you feel about it.
Right. I mean, it does raise a lot of questions about free will.
It does.
and manipulation,
They
even
do.
if it's for a good cause, like
Sure.
boosting birth rates.
Right. I mean, is it ethical to mess with people's emotions like that?
Yeah, it's a slippery slope.
It is.
But before we get too deep into the ethics of baby-making music,
Right.
let's move on to entry 57,
Okay.
which tackles a subject that is sure to make your head spin.
Time.
Time, the final frontier.
Yeah. Okay, so if you thought alien abductions and conversations with Lucifer were strange,
Buckle up.
yeah, buckle up. Because Frandsen is about to take you on a wild ride
Oh, okay, I'm ready.
through his understanding of time
Okay.
as a fluid, multidimensional force.
Okay, this is where I start to lose it a little bit.
I know it's a lot,
It's a lot.
but it's really fascinating.
Okay, so how does he even begin to explain this?
Well, he starts by referencing Einstein's theory of relativity.
Okay, so like gravity and velocity can warp time.
Right.
That's already pretty mind-bending, but he's
Yeah.
going beyond that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so how?
He describes his own observations
Okay.
of things like the rapid aging of supernatural beings, the GFW operating from a point hundreds of years in Earth's future.
So they're time travelers.
It seems like it, yeah.
Wow.
And his encounters with his time-traveling daughter, Olivia.
Hold on, time-traveling daughter.
Yeah, we haven't even gotten to that one yet.
Okay, we'll save that for another deep dive.
Yes, we will.
So it's like he's saying that our linear clock-driven perception of time
Right.
is just wrong.
It's limited.
Yeah, it's like a tiny sliver of a much bigger picture.
Right.
Okay, I'm starting to get it,
Yeah.
but my brain is still hurting a little bit.
I understand.
So time isn't a straight line.
No.
It's more like, what, a spiral? Loop-de-loop?
He actually uses a different analogy.
Okay, what is it?
He says, time is not a river, but an ocean.
Time is an ocean.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that.
It's a good one, right?
It is. It captures the vastness,
Right.
the depth,
Yeah.
the interconnectedness,
Yeah.
all of it. Okay, so if time is an ocean,
Right.
what does that mean for us?
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, what does it mean for our understanding of free will, destiny, the very nature of existence?
It's a lot to wrap your head around.
It is.
But I think that's what Frandsen wants us to do.
Yeah.
He wants us to question everything.
To expand our
To
minds,
challenge our assumptions.
to embrace the mystery.
Exactly.
And it's not just that time is an ocean. He really takes issue with, some of the new age philosophies that say, like, time doesn't exist.
Right.
He's like, no, that's too simple.
Right.
It's more complex than that.
Yeah, he's not denying the existence of time.
No.
He's saying that it's more than just this linear thing.
Right. It's a force
Like-
that we interact with
Right.
that shapes our reality.
Exactly.
It's just we don't fully understand it.
Right. Okay, so entry 58. This is where Frandsen kind of turns his attention to his critics.
Interesting.
Yeah. And, it's almost like he's stepping back
Right.
from all of these incredible events and saying, okay, how are people reacting to this?
Right. The peanut gallery.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And he makes this really interesting distinction
Um,
between skeptics
Okay.
and ignorant critics.
Okay. I like that distinction.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
So to him, skeptics are valuable.
Okay.
They ask questions.
Right.
They challenge assumptions.
They keep you honest.
I do. They keep you honest. But ignorant critics, on the other hand, they're coming from a place of fear or a need to protect their own worldview.
Right. They're not really open to new ideas.
They're not.
They're just trying to shut down anything that challenges their beliefs.
Right. And he even says, that even within niche communities,
Oh, interesting.
like conspiracy theorists
Okay.
or UFO enthusiasts,
Right.
they can be just as resistant to new ideas as mainstream skeptics.
That's a good point.
Yeah. It's like once
Yeah.
you build up this worldview,
Right.
it's hard to let go of it.
Yeah, it becomes part of your identity.
Right.
And if someone comes along and challenges that, it feels like a personal attack.
It does, yeah. And I think that's what he's getting at here.
Yeah, it's a really good observation.
Yeah,
So skepticism, good. Ignorant criticism, not so good.
exactly.
Okay, I'm like,
Okay, so entry 59, this one is a little bit lighter.
oh, good.
Yeah. It's the origin story of Frandsen's self-proclaimed title, Specialist of the Strange.
The specialist of the strange. I like that.
Yeah.
It's very catchy.
It is catchy.
So where did it come from?
So it started as a joke.
A joke.
Yeah, between Frandsen and a childhood friend.
Okay.
And this friend noticed Frandsen's knack for attracting weirdness
Right.
and dubbed him the Specialist of the Strange and Messed Up.
Okay, I like that even better.
Yeah.
It's a specialist of the strange and messed up.
It's great.
So what, it just stuck?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, he shortened it to Specials of the Strange,
Right.
but the essence of it remained.
It's like the universe was telling him,
Right.
this is your path.
This is your destiny.
You are the specialist of the strange.
And it's funny because it really does seem like his life has been this constant
parade of the bizarre.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, he's a magnet for weirdness.
He is.
And I guess, if you're going to be a magnet for weirdness, right?
You might as well own it.
You might as well embrace it.
Exactly.
And become the specialist of the strange.
Okay, so last entry in this deep dive.
Yeah.
Entry 60.
Okay, hit me with it.
This is where Frandsen directly addresses some of the criticisms of the Frandsen files themselves.
Interesting.
Yeah. And it's almost like he's anticipating the pushback, the demands for proof, the skepticism.
Which is inevitable when you're putting out information like this.
Exactly. And he really tackles these questions head on.
Good for him.
He does. He urges his critics to be more specific in their demands for proof.
Right. Like, what kind of proof do you want?
Define your terms.
Yeah, what do you mean by proof?
Right.
That's a good point.
And he even expresses a wish for technology that could download memories.
Download memories.
Yeah.
That's a sci-fi concept.
It is.
But it's an interesting one.
It is.
I mean, if you could literally download someone's memories and see what they saw, that would be pretty compelling evidence.
It would. But of course, that raises a whole other set of ethical questions.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
About privacy and manipulation.
I mean, who has access to those memories?
Right.
Could they be altered?
Yeah.
It's a Pandora's box.
It is.
But it's a Pandora's box that I'm kind of curious to open.
Me too.
I mean, it's a fascinating thought experiment.
It is.
So here we are at the end of another deep dive into the FrandsenFiles Compendium.
I feel like my brain is full.
Mine too. It's a lot to process.
It is.
But it's so worth it.
It is.
I mean, this stuff is just so fascinating.
It is.
It's thought-provoking.
It is.
It's challenging.
It is.
And it's fun.
It is fun.
Let's think about, to explore.
And to discuss.
Absolutely.
So if you're listening to this.
Yeah.
And you haven't checked out the Frandsen files yet.
What are you waiting for?
Go do it.
Dive into the compendium.
Read the entries.
Draw your own conclusions.
This is just the tip of the iceberg.
It really is.
There's so much more to explore.
So much more.
So until next time.
Yeah.
Keep diving deep.
And keep questioning everything.